Hey loves, this is Andrea Michelle, and you're listening to the Finding Bliss podcast, episode number 83. Today we're going to discuss Limitless Possibilities. Let's get into it.
We've all heard how different sciences and religion are, but are they really that different? In Finding Bliss, we'll explore how the rules of attraction really don't change between the two. Andrea Michelle, certified life coach and program creator, will show you how to find the perfect happiness you crave in the midst of chaos. We'll explore how you can create your own happiness and ignore the negative external factors in your life. We're so excited that you're joining with us in our journey to Finding Bliss.
Hey loves. Welcome back to the Finding Bliss podcast. And if you are new around these parts, welcome. I am so very glad that you are here. I am so humbled by your presence. I'm humbled by your desire to hit play. And I'm humbled that you have decided to take the time to listen to this podcast, because I personally know that there are so many amazing podcasts for you to listen to. And so the fact that you chose the Finding Bliss podcast is so humbling, and I am eternally grateful that you chose to listen to this podcast. So today's episode is really an empowered and inspired one. Well, actually, I hope that it is my hope that all of the episodes are empowering and inspiring. But this one really, truly came to me and really opened my eyes, and it forced me or caused me to really think about so many things differently. So I woke up this morning, walked in my daughter's room. It wasn't even 7 o'clock. I don't even think it was 6:30. And she was already awake, and she already had her curtains open. So, the light was coming in, the natural light was coming in. And for whatever reason, I felt compelled to go stand at her window and look up at the sky. And as soon as I looked up at the sky, I heard two words. And those two words were limitless possibilities. Imagine that. Imagine that you're standing and you're looking up and you're reflecting and you hear limitless possibilities. And not just that you hear it, but you feel it with everything within you. Like your mind agrees on limitless possibility. Your body agrees on limitless possibilities. Your spirit agrees with limitless possibilities. And your emotional state agrees with limitless possibilities. And I stood at my daughter's window, and all I could do was smile. And, it brought me to another thought that so often, so many times we spend our days and our minutes and our hours and seconds thinking about all the things that could go wrong. Right? We give so much energy to the things that could go wrong in our lives that we leave open the possibility that there is a such thing where everything in our lives work out. And I fundamentally believe, personally, everything that happens to us happens for us. And what that means is that everything that we experience, whether it's perceived as a pleasant experience or a not so pleasant experience, that it is ultimately for our good and for our own benefit. And so I believe that if we were to start looking at things from the perspective of limitless possibilities, that we would begin to see more things in our lives become manifested. Because what I have learned on my journey of self-discovery, and everybody's journey of self-discovery is different, but the process is the same. So what I've learned on my journey of self-discovery is that when I focus on all the things that can go right, then I experience more things in my life that goes right. But the minute I fall out of alignment, the minute that I become misaligned and I allow fear to come in and I start thinking about all the things that could go wrong, guess what? I don't experience all of the good, and I experience more of the things that I think could go wrong. And it's the same thing with you in your life, beloved. It's a universal law, and it's called the law of attraction. And in the church, they call it the law of reaping and sowing. And in science, they call it the law of energy conservation, right? Because whatever it is that we put out there, that's exactly what we're going to get back. You know, whatever seed we sow in the ground, if we sow an apple seed, we're going to reap an apple tree. If we sow an orange seed, we're going to reap an orange tree. If we sow a lemon seed, we're going to reap a lemon tree. It's impossible for us to sow an apple seed and for an orange tree to be manifested, right? And so it's the same thing with us and our lives and with our thoughts. If we sow seeds of happiness and sow seeds of limitless possibilities and sow seeds of goal setting and goal achieving and resolutions and problem solving, if we sow those seeds, we will without a doubt manifest those things. But likewise, if we sow seeds of us being finite, and if we sow seeds of us being limited, and if we sow seeds of negativity, seeds of anger, seeds of jealousy, seeds of envy, we can only reap those things that we are sowing. That's how life is, y'all. Because what is the statement that we know to be true? Energy is not created or destroyed. It is only transformed and transferred. And so we will get whatever it is that we put out there. So it is so important for us to, instead of focusing on, limited possibilities, we need to start focusing on limitless possibilities. And some of you may be saying, well, Andrea, how can we focus on these things when we are human? We know that we're going to die one day and there are only so many things that we can do. Here's how you can focus on that. Because if you believe like I believe, which I believe that you do, otherwise you wouldn't be listening to this podcast, then you know that we are both physical and non-physical at the same time. If you believe like I believe, then you know that there are 4 levels to our existence. If you believe like I believe, then you believe that you are the creator of your reality. And if you believe like I believe, then you believe that your mind is what creates matter. And when we talk about the mind, what exactly are we talking about? We're talking about your thoughts. We're talking about your intentions. Right? Your intentions are what create your thoughts. And your thoughts are what creates your words. And your words are what creates your actions. And your actions is what create what's manifested, your results. Right? And so that means if we were to back that up, it means that everything that we see in this physical world started in the invisible world. I want to make sure you understand that everything that is manifested before us today, it first started in the invisible realm. It started in a place where it wasn't tangible. It's not tangible, right? You can't touch an intention. You can't touch a thought. You can't touch a word. But what you can touch is the result of an intention, of a thought, of a word. Right? And so if we shift our intentions to be or to say that everything that I do is ultimately for my own good. The intention is the why behind the why. If we shift our intentions, then we will form better thoughts. And when we form better thoughts, we will begin to use different words and speak different words. And when we begin to speak different words, then we will begin to act and change our behavior according to the words that we speak. And if we speak those different words and we change our behavior, then we will begin to see different results. But the reason why so many people always, get the same results and they repeat the same cycles is because they don't stop and think about their intentions. They don't stop and think about their words. They don't stop and think about limitless possibilities. No, they focus on fear. They focus on negativity. They focus on pessimism. Focus on all the things that no longer serve them. They focus on bad relationships. They focus on breakups. They focus on deaths. They focus on the people who left them. And when you always focus on that, what else do you expect to receive? If you are only focused on the negativity and everything that you don't have, what do you expect to be attracted to you? What do you expect to reap? And I really want you to think about this. And I really want you to ask yourself, where are my thoughts? What are the predominant thoughts that I have? And if you have a hard time coming up with that answer, then I'm going to ask you to look around. Look around you. If you notice that everything around you is dead and dying and people are complaining and they're always angry and they live in poverty, they have a lack mindset, then my love, that is a reflection of what you've been thinking about. Because it is impossible for you to continually have good thoughts and good intentions and put those out in the universe and not receive good. It's impossible. It's impossible for that to happen. Because like attracts like. And so you will always get whatever it is that you put out there. And I know some of you may be saying, well, the last 2 months I've been putting this thought out there and I'm not seeing any result of it. And to that I say, do you plant a seed today and expect to see the fruit of that seed tomorrow? No, you don't. Because you understand that there is time that needs to take place. Time needs to happen in order to see the fruit of that seed. But just because you can't see the fruit of that seed, it doesn't mean that nothing is happening. Because once you plant that seed into the ground, then the roots, that seed needs to form, and that seed needs to anchor itself in the ground so that it can begin to produce good fruit. Because even before you see any of the buds of the seed, of the tree, the roots are already growing deep. And the deeper the roots, the better the fruit. Right? So when you plant a seed, you don't rush that seed to produce the fruit. No. What you do is you plant that seed and then you go and you take care of that seed and you water it. And before you do that, you make sure you put it in a place where it's going to receive the proper sunlight. And then you water that seed. You water the ground where that seed is planted, so you take care of it. And as weeds begin to grow around the place where you planted that seed, you pull up those weeds. And you don't let those weeds stay because you know that if you let those weeds stay, it's going to affect the production and the value of the fruit that you are producing. Right? So when you begin to shift and when you make a change, you are not going to see a manifestation. I shouldn't say you're not, because sometimes you will see an overnight change, right? So I'm not going to say you will not, but most likely it takes time. And during that time, just because you can't see it doesn't mean that nothing is happening, because like I said, with that seed, it's anchoring itself. It's anchoring itself in the ground, so that when it becomes visible, it's deeply rooted. And when the wind blows, because the wind will always blow, and when the rain comes, because the rain will always come, it won't be swayed and it won't rock. It won't go to and fro, but it will be stable in its position. And so if you've made this shift and it's been 2 or 3 months, what I'm asking you to do, beloved, is to stick with it and nurture the shift and the change that you've made. And I want you to know, I know exactly how you feel. I know exactly where you are if you have been waiting to see the change. Because after I retired, I've shared this before, there were 2 months, y'all. 2 whole months where I saw no traffic. I mean, I wasn't getting any clients. Nobody was, there were a few people like downloading my freebies, like absolutely nothing was happening. And I'll be 100% honest with you. I started to get discouraged. And I started to say, Lord, did I make the right decision? Even though everything in me told me that it was the right decision and I knew it was the right decision, but I began to question my decision because I got out of alignment and I let fear creep in. And so I was going on a walk one day. And for those of you who've been listening for a while, you know that we live in a new subdivision. We built our house from the ground up. I picked out everything from the paint color to the color of the grout to the color of the outside, the door, like everything. We built it from the ground up. But in addition to that, they're creating a new subdivision and they're building luxury townhomes. And so I was out for a walk one day and I was just asking, like, okay, just thinking, feel like this is the right decision, but how do I really know that I made the right decision? And it was almost like I felt the Holy Spirit saying, look around you. And when I lifted up my eyes and I looked around me, y'all, all I could see was the board of what these luxury townhomes were going to look like, that they're building these amazing luxury townhomes behind me. And then when I got into my subdivision, I saw that they were building new houses all around me. And then that thought carried me to some of the people in my life, some of my friends, and how they were being asked to speak on big stages, and they were invited to do, TED Talks and TEDx Talks, and they were in the process of writing their first book because a publisher reached out to them and wanted to know their story. And so everything around me was growing. Even though I had not at that particular moment been experiencing it myself, the Lord, Holy Spirit, universe, whatever you choose to call it, had showed me that everything around me was growing, and everything around me, if everything around me was growing, then I was in fact also growing. And the reason why everything around me was growing was because I had thoughts of growth. I had growth thoughts out there, growth mindset. My intentions were growth focused. And so because of that, everything around me was growing to prove to me that I too was growing, even though I couldn't see it. And that's when I realized that what was happening during that time is that I was being rooted, and I was being grounded, and I was being anchored. And what I was doing was really making the firm decision to say, this is it, and burn the bridges back to corporate America, because it wasn't my purpose. And then after those 2 months were over and I recognized, like, oh my gosh, I am growing. That's when then clients started coming. They started calling me, discovery calls, downloading this, downloading that, this and that and the other, growing my email list. All these thoughts and ideas came to me. And so I'm telling you that if you're in a place where you've been at this for what feels like a long time, I want you to know that during this time, you are just being anchored. And your roots are growing deep so that as you begin to grow, you won't be swayed. When someone else comes along and tell you that they have the best secret, you will know that no, I can't be persuaded. This is out of alignment for me. So I'm not going to do it because it is out of alignment. And in those 2 months, I was becoming more sure of myself. I was gaining more confidence, even though I couldn't see it from a physical standpoint. But when I looked up and opened my eyes and I saw that I was surrounded by growth, I was like, yes, said yes. And so I say to you, look around you. And what's surrounding you? What's surrounding you? If you are surrounded by growth, then that is an indication that you are growing. But if you are surrounded by lack and poverty and anger and complaining and all of those things, then that is an indication for you that it's time for you to make a shift if you want to see changes. It's time for you to make a shift. And what I am going to do for you is I am going to offer you, you can download a blessing. I'm going to record a blessing for you, a prayer for you, a meditation for you, an affirmation for you, whatever you want to call it. And I want you to begin listening to it. And even if you are in a place of limitless possibilities, listen to this and then it will amplify where you are. See, I understand fundamentally that I am an amplifier. I'm an amplifier. If there's a fire that's lit, I make the fire bigger. If there's a storm that's coming, then I make the storm bigger. I am an amplifier. And so if you're already on this path of limitless possibilities, listen to this and you will amplify your life. But if you're at a point where you're not sure, you don't know, you're not there yet, then listen to this and it too will amplify your life. And I know for some of you right now, it may be hard for you to get from one place to the next. And so here's an affirmation to help you, but I also want you to make sure you download the additional prayer affirmation. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I was created at this time, and I understand that we are living in a time of limitless possibilities. I am everything I need to be right now. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the podcast and the podcast in general. It would be such a great honor if you would subscribe and review it for me. And if you've enjoyed it that much, I hope you'd share it with your friends. I'm looking forward to us journeying together to find our bliss. Would you like to build your confidence and, more importantly, empower yourself? If so, then I'd like to invite you to download my 23 affirmations to build confidence and empower yourself. These were beautifully created so that you can print them out, hang them in your office, home office, bathroom, or wherever you need to see them on a daily basis to build your confidence and empower yourself. Please download them today. Are you a leader who's ready to discover your purpose and your passion? Find balance, reconnect with, and find your identity so that you can create more happiness, fall in love with yourself, make more money, and live an abundant life? If that is you, then I would love for you to join my brand new Facebook group called the Confident Women's Collective. In this group, the one thing that we realize is that we are a force of one, but a movement collectively. So if you are ready to discover who you really are, stand in your power, walk in your purpose so you can experience more love and happiness, then I would love for you to join the Confident Women's Collective.